Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. Now today's topic is one I'm really looking forward to because it's something that is very, very needed. Today we're going to be talking about efficient communication. How can you efficiently get your point across? This is for the wafflers, this is for the ramblers, this is for the people who feel like they ended a conversation and were just going in circles. So if this is you, welcome. I'm glad you're here and let's see what we can do. So specifically when I talk about efficient communication, we're talking about being clear, we're talking about being direct, we're talking about really getting our thought across to the person in front of us. Now, usually when we're going into a high stakes environment, such as a pitch, where we might be a bit more nervous, or even if we're delivering a piece of feedback to a team or one person that is maybe a little bit sensitive or something that's a little bit more negative, we tend to ramble and say so much more than we actually need to. And so these are the exercises that I try to give people to combat that. Number one, the under 10 word rule. Now, sometimes if I'm feeling harsh, I'm going to do 8. However, under 10 is where you want to aim for. This is the idea that when you are giving feedback, you need to remember you need to speak in sentences. What I mean by that is if I was to ramble right now, let's imagine I am the CEO of a big company and our numbers are down and I need to ask 200 of my employees to really step up. I could start the conversation by going, "So guys, thank you so much for the meeting today. The reason I've called you all in is because I really am quite nervous about the numbers that are coming up right now. It really feels as though, you know, our so-and-so is lacking, our department's coming down, and we really need to start stepping up. And, you know, the last thing I want to do, guys, is to start making sacrifices and, you know, to start making difficult decisions here. But if we don't really pull our weight together and we don't really get into this, then, you know, unfortunately, I am going to have to start just making those conversations and those decisions." That is a really classic piece of feedback I hear clients do. And I'm laughing because as I say that, I feel like a really bad person and I feel really guilty. And a lot of people think that's because of what you're saying, but it's not. It's because you're just going on and on and on, and it's almost like you're sort of digging this hole for yourself. What we need to do is all of it comes back to ease, and we need to find a clear way of delivering that messaging without sort of allowing our breath to get on top of us and making us feel more anxious. So what you do is you try to deliver it in 10 words per sentence. Hi guys, thank you all so much for being here today. 10 words, first sentence, pause. Unfortunately, the numbers are not looking great this quarter. And the last thing I want to do is make difficult decisions. So just to preface at the beginning of the call, we need to start stepping things up. Thank you for your hard work so far, and thank you for your continued support. But like I said, this is a really pivotal moment in the business. And let's all pull our weight together and make something happen. I did lose count, so I'm not sure if I did all the words there, but you get the gist. Trying to restrict yourself to how can I say this in 8 words or 10 words max per sentence, and then build your argument from there. It's going to make you feel so much more clear about what you're doing. It's going to stop that panic of being like, oh my God, I don't know where I'm going. I haven't stopped for breath. I'm just going around in circles. It's going to make more of an impact to your listener because it's a lot clearer, and it's going to feel like it's sitting a lot heavier in the body because it's also a lot punchier. So that's my first piece of advice. Really try to nail as clear as possible, 8 to 10 words per sentence. And if you can even get it in like 2 or 3 sentences, that would be perfect. The second thing you can start to do if you're worried about what efficient communication looks like or what persona you need to do that is I want you to start listening and learning from great speakers around you. So cast your mind to an amazing manager you once had, or maybe a fantastic teacher you've had before. And I'd like you to write down all of the qualities that made them so good. For example, I remember a teacher that I had at school, and actually they were someone who wasn't necessarily my favorite. They weren't someone who I was super likable. They kind of scared a lot of people in a way, but you really respected them. And when I say scared, they wouldn't intimidate, but I suppose you wanted to impress them. And that's a quality that actually I think as leaders, we struggle to strike this balance between how can I be strict or how can I set my boundary in delivering this feedback without feeling like I'm actually intimidating the people around me. And when you find a speaker around you that's doing just that as a good example, then it might be able to give you a little bit of a boost of confidence in saying, oh no, well, just because they weren't my favorite teacher doesn't mean that I didn't like them. In fact, I think I did the best in that subject because of the way they were. They helped me to be the best. So in a lot of ways, maybe they were my favorite teacher because they're the person who pops to mind when someone asks who was a really good teacher. And I'm sure you'll agree with me that when you're in a managerial role, your goal is probably to be the best you can be rather than the most liked. You want your team to be even better than you, not that you want to be the celebrity or the favorite. And so once you found that person and you've gone, okay, actually, they have all of these qualities, maybe I can be like that. Try to see if the next time you're giving perhaps negative feedback to someone who's a bit more sensitive, bear in mind the persona or the presence or the energy that that person would hold. What would they do? So for example, I once had a client who was very nervous about giving an employer of hers some feedback that she was taking on too much and too many projects all at once and she wasn't communicating that with the team, and it was causing people to think less of her. And so it was really important that this manager gave this person this feedback, yet she was dreading it because she knew that it would be quite sensitive, and she kind of perceived all of the work as really hard work and a lot of energy. However, in the end, it wasn't doing well. And anyway, you see, I'm waffling now. And so we stopped and we thought, okay, how can we get this into less words and how can we strike this balance? We start by saying, I really appreciate all of the energy you're putting into your work. Gold star. Then once you've given your gold star, you give 2 wishes. The first thing I'd say is you're taking on too many projects at once. So she said all of that. She waffled all of this to me in talking about this client. And so we go, okay, how can we translate this so that it reads as really efficient, but also sensitive and also got that sort of managerial success support that we want? Well, we do that by giving 1 star and 2 wishes. The star, thank you so much for the energy you're putting in. The wish, I think it would be more beneficial if you start focusing on one thing at a time. The third wish, this way you're going to find it so much easier to actually communicate with the rest of the team with what you need. Feedback done. Probably all under 10 words, 3 sentences, 1 star and 2 wishes. That is what this teacher that comes to my mind, who I think about how great they were, uses as their feedback structure. And I really love it as well. You probably have your own as a company and a business, but that's something that I would recommend. So we've got our 8 to 10 words in a sentence and then marry it with your gold star and 2 wishes. And then the third thing is, no matter how much preparation you do with being efficient and trying to deliver things in a really straightforward way, do bear in mind that once you've given that sentence, once you've given your 3 sentences or your 8 words or your 10 words of feedback, then do lean into listening and trying to be as empathetic as possible to the speaker in front of you. Because once you've given that feedback, that is for them to know. And then if someone does get upset or if someone wants to ask for more clarity, you can still be efficient, you can still force yourself to say less words. However, if they seem like they're being upset, you don't need to stand your ground and stay in this stiff place. Do feel like you can relax a little bit, have that conversation with them. It's really hard to balance, but usually if you start off strong, then they'll have less questions. If you start off rambling and then you get to the end point, it's almost going to feel like you were just avoiding the real true essence of it, which always makes it seem worse as a listener to hear. So do remember to be empathetic to the reaction, to the speaker. Don't feel like you need to strictly stay in those boundaries, but do try to set yourself up so the beginning of the conversation is really clear and you'll find that the rest of the conversation will go a little bit more smoothly. So in order to speak as efficiently as possible for your professional development, especially if you are a rambler, guilty as charged, you have these 3 things. Number 1, let's focus on the 8 to 10 word rule per sentence. Number 2, think about people around you who are carving the way as fantastic examples. Maybe you want to implement the gold star and 2 wishes. And number 3, once you have laid out those boundaries, can you be more empathetic to the speaker in front of you? And can you try to bring it onto that more human level? Because efficiency is only efficient if it's also mirrored with stuff that's a little bit more relaxed. You don't have to be totally efficient in all of your professionalism all the time. Remember, your voice is a range and you can still find the human in everything, even if this feels a little bit robotic. Thank you so much for tuning into today's video, guys. Like I said, all of these topics are starting to come out from current clients that I'm working with. So if you are interested in any more tips or you want to work with me on any other level, do not forget that there's a consultation link in the description. Please do, if you've got this far, give me a thumbs up, press subscribe, share it with a friend. I'd love to see, out of interest, who gets this far in the video. And I hope you have a fantastic week. Hopefully these exercises serve you, and I will see you next time. Thanks everyone. Bye.